Hi everybody, this is the first video in a series that you're going to be watching this week to learn about this species known as Botanicurus. So Botanicurus is a fictitious plant that has a chemical inside of it known as curol. However, this species has gone extinct or is going extinct. So we have to study three other species, species X, species Y, and species Z, so that we can figure out which of these three species is most similar to Botanicurus and can possibly give us more curol to cure cancer. So for part one of this lab, we're going to look at the structures of this plant, okay? So focus in on, and I'm trying to focus in on as best I can, the leaf structure and the stem structure of this plant, and in as much detail as possible, describe what you are seeing here. I'm talking size, shape, color, if the stem or the leaves are pointed, if they're narrow, if they're rounded, in as much detail as possible. Because again, what we physically see in this plant is going to be determined by some kind of gene or DNA change. So if it has a similar physical appearance, it will probably have a similar DNA appearance, and hopefully we'll be able to produce that curol to cure cancer. So these are going to be recorded in your handout, PowerPoint handout, on slide 8, as much detail as possible on this Botanicurus. Great. Now we're going to look at species X. Species X does not have a name. We're going to just name it species X for our science today. Again, as much detail as possible, the kind of petals you see, the color, the shape of the leaves, if they're rounded, if they're pointed, if there's a long stem, a short stem, if the stem is narrow, all these physical appearances. If you look very carefully, right, you can see that in the center of the petals are kind of like spears or something. That may be unique to species X. Take as much time as you need, and we can pause the video if you'd like, to put as much detail as we can about the physical appearance of this species X, the leaves, the petals, the stems, etc. That is one possibility of a relative of Botanicurus. Okay, our second possibility is species Y. Okay, species Y, if you look automatically, this is something very different, is the color of its petals, okay? The color of its petals, so look very carefully. Again, record as much detail as possible on slide 8. This is for species Y. Great job. Great work, okay? And we'll share out what we're seeing in a few minutes, see if in case somebody misses something. Again, the number of leaves is a big thing too. If there's one large stem, if they have smaller leaves, larger leaves, if the leaves are pointy, etc. Very, very important there. So as much detail as possible on species Y. That's our second possible relative of Botanicurus. Okay. Our third possible relative is species Z. Species Z, again, we're looking at all of its physical appearance. The number of petals, I think we said that before. The color of the petals, the size of the petals. They have those spears again, very interesting. Length of the stem, is the stem pretty long? Is the stem short? How many leaves come off the stem? Are there pointed leaves? Are they rounded leaves? Are they wide? Are they narrow? You describe, and everybody's description is going to be a little different here. But this is what you're physically seeing in the leaf of this plant if you saw it in an area where we could study this species Z. So at this point, we should have the column in the table filled out that says structural characteristics of leaves in the plant. Okay, that's our first set of observations for today.